Notes. Please make sure you're following through so you don't get lost, and I will be getting you to write notes in your notes because it's a good habit to have. This is in, which slide is this? The one that's after these shapes here. So it's called choosing an appropriate measure of center. Alright, so if you remember last lesson, we were looking at the different shapes of your graphs. So think about when it comes to just shapes, by the way, shapes only applies to if you have a graph like this. Okay, like these graphs. You don't really use them in any other types of graphs. So bar charts, histograms, and box plots. That's really whenever you see your chart, your shapes, and also your stem and leaf plots and dot plots. But let's keep going. Does anyone remember the three shapes that we've used to discuss determine the skews and all that? Yes. Good. So you've got approximately symmetrical, which means that if you have the median in the middle, okay, it's approximately symmetrical on both sides. Positively skewed means your data sort of starts high, then it goes down, and so the tail end is on the right. And then for negatively skewed, it's the opposite. So you start low, then you go high, and your tail end is at the front there. Okay. And bottom here, I did get you guys to draw some box plots as a similar representation of the shapes. So you can see, yes.
Can you use the word symmetrical
if it's exactly symmetrical, but it's a very low chance that it will be. I would prefer it if used approximately. Okay, good question. All right, let's keep going for the next part. So now that we've been able to do your different types of graphs, and also the your mean, median, mode, and then we've just yesterday we finished off the shapes. Now we're going to look into which is a better measure of center. So you come across a question sometimes, and you don't really need to know too much of this, but it might ask you which measure of center is the best one to use. Okay, and there's only really two things that you need to know. There's two measures of center that you need to know. It's just mean and mode, mean and median for this question. Okay, we know what mode is. Okay, mode is the one that appears the most, but with numerical data, this is where you start asking which is a better measure of center. So for categorical data, you only really use mode because when you think about it, the kind of data that you have for categorical is words. So which one appears the most is going to be the most useful one. If you can't really use mean or median for words, it doesn't make sense because mean or median refers to numbers. Okay, and for shape as well, that's when we use mean and median as well. But for when it comes to using the most appropriate measure of center, okay, you have to look at the shape of it. What is the shape of the data that you're looking at? If your shape is approximately symmetrical, then mean is really good. Okay? If it's symmetrical, you should use the mean. But if your data is either positive or negatively skewed, then you have to use the median. Okay? And the reason why, okay, so if you read this, is because you're trying to find the middle. Okay, the middle part. Okay, I'm trying to find the middle or the most useful way to represent the data. So if your data is symmetrical, so it looks like this shape, then you should use the mean. Okay, it's a better one to use. But if your data is either skewed like this, it looks like this. If it looks like that, or if it looks like this, then you should use the median, okay, because it's skewed. So just remember that if your data is symmetrical, use the mean. If your data is skewed, use the median. That's really all you have to remember for it. So in that case, let's look at this. First of all, if you're let's go to this page. Okay, if you're following with the notes, let's go to this page, and I want you to write down what is the shape for this one here. Actually, let's discuss it as a class. So what can we determine with the shape here? What's the shape? It is negatively skewed. So because it's skewed, which one is better, mean or median? Median, because it's skewed. So you'd write median, because you could just write median is better, or median because the data is skewed. Okay, this one here is a bit tricky. What's the shape for this one? Yeah, some people will argue that it's approximately symmetrical, and I will say the same, that it's approximately. Okay, so that's approximately symmetrical. So which means that because it's approximately symmetrical, the mean is a good measure of center for that. Okay, for the box plot down here, okay, I can see that the data sort of goes up, then it trails off down here, and then you've got what we call an outlier here. Another thing to note is if you have an outlier, median is always better. Okay, but also if you think about the skew for this is positively skewed. Which means the median is a better measure of center. And the last one, if you turn your head to the right, this should be negatively skewed. Okay, so that means because it's skewed, the median again is better than the mean. Okay, so if your data is symmetrical or approximately symmetrical, use mean. If your data is skewed, use the median. Or if you have an outlier, use the median. Yes?
Will we actually ever need to like choose an appropriate measure?
Yes, you will be asked to pick which one is the right one, or the most appropriate one. Alright, let's keep going. Okay, yep, and that's what we looked at before. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I won't get you guys to do these, but if you really want to, you can just check out those links on your laptops and check out how the skew changes with these graphs. Really good interactive ones as well, so just go ahead and check it out. But I think most people have completed 9B. So